my business that I started as of this summer, so I am really small. So when I'm talking about how to act big when you're small, this is in process for sure. So, but a very casual conversation. If you have questions, let me know. I recognize Catherine was a mentor of mine in college, super fun. Cool to reconnect, so fun to be back. I did go to UNL, we'll talk about that later, but it's fun to be back. I was laughing too, I had to take my picture with Daniel Tiger outside, so my 2-year-old thinks I'm cool also. But let's go ahead and get started. So again, I want this to kind of feel like maybe if I were to write a book right now, 6 months into business, it would be called How to Look Big Online When You're Actually Very Small. So, and my book as a millennial is actually kind of a Facebook of pictures and everything. So that's mostly what my presentation is actually looking what we've posted on our Facebook, thinking of how far we've come in 6 months to kind of give you a sense of, to teach you how to look big online. I kind of want to show you some real life examples. So think of it that way. So looking at my book, let's start back in 2008. I graduated from Kearney High School, so that's where I'm from. And then going through college is kind of what will give you some context. I'm a context person to kind of know where people come from, kind of what led up to my decision to go freelance, and then what I've learned from running this business so far. And also, again, I'll say too, I hope this applies to your current business if you're a bigger business, but also if you have a side business or a side hustle or anything. I think it applies not just for small businesses, but some of the things that I've learned I think apply to some of the clients that I work with and some of the businesses that I work with as well. But as I mentioned, I went to UNL, met Catherine through one of my mentoring programs. I'm one of the rare ones that stuck with my major all through school. Like, I'm very proud of that. Went to advertising school, graduated from advertising school in 4 years. So that was something I always wanted to do. I was creative growing up. I liked making birthday cards and everything too. I think I was a little entrepreneurial now that, you look back. I painted rocks and sold them to my neighbors and everything. So looking back, I think that was always something I was interested in. So when I was at advertising school, for sure, I wanted to be a graphic designer because everybody wants to be a graphic designer when they go to advertising school because those are the cool kids. They have all the cool Photoshop tips and tricks, and they make, something out of nothing. And I had made t-shirts in high school, so I thought oh man, I can run Illustrator, I got this. But as I progressed through college, again, I stuck with advertising, but definitely my skill set changed as what I kind of learned about myself and what I was good at. So I was super, super fortunate that I weaseled my way into an internship at Bailey Lauerman, which is so great. It looked mostly like the top picture, getting the mail, hustling coffee, which was wonderful and excuse me. But that's actually, for me, I learned more in my internship than from school of what it was I wanted to do. I remember a conversation that I had. I got to go to the Addies, which was a big deal that they paid for my ticket to go. I had to go find a dress, to go to this award show. And I sat by a coworker in the office that I really didn't ever talk to. She worked in the Omaha office. I worked in the Lincoln office. And she's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to be a graphic designer because everybody can be a graphic designer. And she's like, okay, well, tell me more about what you like to do. Or I kind of said, I'm not sure anymore if I want to be a graphic designer. Anyways, we start talking and she says, you like to make lists, you like to work with people, you're a project manager. And I'm like, what's a project manager? Those are just the boring people that sit in the middle of the office in the cubicles and type all day. I don't even know what they do. But so then I went back, she's like, why don't you shadow this person in the office? So I went and I said, hey, Catherine said that maybe I would like what you're doing. Is it okay if I, on my breaks from getting the mail and running coffee, come see what you do? And that totally changed the game for me because I said, oh my gosh, it's the halfway between what the client wants and what the artist can do in the back. And this is the sweet spot where the magic really happens. Things get done on time, the strategy's on target, the clients are happy, the creatives are taken care of. So that was really fun for me to figure out what to do. And so at 20 years old, I filled in for someone who was on maternity leave over the summer. I had real clients. It was really fun to go from coffee girl to actual part of this team, this interactive team that we had at the time. So great memories there. And then this is another favorite picture. So after I graduated, I went to work for a coworker of mine that went to start 42, which became acquired by Firespring. So 21 at the time, yes. And the picture says, Amanda, aka the best AE project manager ever, her last day at 42, and she brought beer. Love her, claim to fame. But so I worked at this startup agency afterwards too, which was a lot different as far as coming up with everything from scratch. We weren't part of this big company. We didn't have policies and procedures, so that was really fun to use the same skill set but on a much smaller level. We had a lot of fun too. So that's where I landed after school, still in the ad agency world. And the last day, that picture was from the last day because then I moved here. Does anybody know where this is? What? This is Columbus, Nebraska, the sprawling metropolis. They don't have ad agencies here. Crazy. So all of my skills that I've learned went from a big agency to a startup agency. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I did a couple different things. So we moved there. My husband took a teaching job in Columbus. So again, not that different from Kearney. So totally excited to move there. Knew nobody, had nowhere to go work. It's more of a manufacturing kind of town. Eventually I ended up being the marketing director for the chamber though. And that was awesome. So that's kind of where my story of working with small clients starts, is I got to help these little mom and pop shops that, are trying to keep their doors open on Main Street. And I did get to use the skills that I had of planning projects, helping with strategy. So again, we just kind of helped our members at the chamber stay open. But that's kind of where I fell in love with small businesses and real people that I could talk to, not big companies that just send a representative to represent their 600 employees. So I guess for context, that's kind of where I come from. I have big agency experience, but my heart really lies with small clients and small businesses and small towns. It's so small of a town that they even wrote an article when we left town. Like, that's how cute and wonderful it was. So this kind of just makes me laugh. But the picture too, though, does show my little computer with my little logo that says Amanda Polacek Communication Strategy. So when we moved back to Kearney, I have a 1.5-year-old now, and we had a new baby. My husband took a teaching job at Kearney High School. I said, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to start my own company, just like terrified, but had a lot of support from people from Columbus that said, you've helped all of us do great things. You should try it yourself. And so that's what I kind of did this summer. I started with just my name and a Squarespace website, and that was it, and a lot of support from my small town, and moved back to Kearney where I knew nobody, which is weird because you're from there, but everybody's gone. So that's kind of how small that I was, just for some context, is moved back to a town where I knew nobody. I had a few clients left over from Columbus that I worked with, but I had to start making decisions of how to look like a real company online if I wanted to make this work. So that's kind of where we'll get into some more practical steps now of how I've tried to look big online, to try to go after those dream clients that I want to work with. Again, still small enough that I can get to know them, but they have real budgets to work with and things like that. So that's kind of where I started, is over this fall, I went through a branding process, and that's what originally Allie kind of pitched as the story to share with you all, is what that looked like. And it took various iterations. I remember calling Allie, I want to do this, this, and this, and this is when she didn't work for me, but that was always our someday plan to do that. And, I'm like, my name means nothing here. Like, Amanda Polacek means something in Columbus, but not in Kearney. So I really want, again, if I want to grow and I want to hire people, the first thing that I did for my branding process was come up with a name. And it was hard, I'm sure all of you know, to come up with something that wasn't taken, didn't have a .com, wasn't too long. And so I kind of, MAM marketing kind of comes from marketing by Amanda, but more so, a lot of my clients are female, but also my tagline that I've kind of come up with is marketing with respect. So it's something that I just wanted something that was very respectful, that shows that I'm going to take care of those small clients. I'm going to give them the services of a big ad agency, all the knowledge, but not treat them like a number, treat them like an individual, things like that. So that's where the name came from. I think for me that was the hardest thing going through the branding process. And then this was our, logo. It still is our logo. And I go through this to kind of show you too. This day is September 26, 2017, so not that long ago. And that was another thing that I stressed over. What should our logo be? And then at the end of the day, I don't think it really makes a difference for my business at this point. So it's a black circle with a white M on the top. It's our Facebook avatar or profile picture, and that's about it. So I think that was something too that as I work with clients, they get really hung up on what should my name be, what should my logo be, and sometimes they'll quit if they can't find something perfect. And for me, it was like, find one that's good enough and move on. So for me as a small business, like time is money, time is everything. So we went with this logo, and I don't think anybody has really said, wow, your logo's like pretty plain or pretty simple. It's been polished enough, professional enough to let us get out there and have a Facebook picture. But the rest, I think in today's world, it's more about your personal branding, your beliefs, those kinds of things. So again, for me, it's what we've been sharing on social media, that it has this respectful tone to it, that we want to be helping people. It's all the other things that come through. But I just share this because when my clients come to me, I say, okay, let's work on your strategy and your values. And they're like, but what about the logo? And what about, and so like, okay, we'll get you a logo, but don't stress too much about it, because down the road, I would love to hire a graphic designer, a real graphic designer, because again, I did not go that route, to make me a really cool logo, but it's kind of something that you phase into your business. And then, so these will be a lot of screenshots of stuff that we've shared, just to kind of, I like stories, people that I help share stories. So again, this is, you can tell I'm too scared to put my face on things at this point. These are baby steps. Hit publish on the Facebook page. First post just says, hello. It was so fun to look back at these things. 51 people reached. The only person that liked it was probably Allie, that has the account access. But there's a lot going on in this too that I think, as a small business acting like a big business is in the text. Again, I've come up with a mission statement, which is a little wordy now looking at it. But I spent a lot of time thinking about what's the mission of my company? What is it that I want to do? Have a website, have a .com, and then I have some graphics. So again, my little tiny logo, but I picked out this color, I picked out this font. So as much as looking back on this, I'm like, this is so small, but it was a baby step for me as far as I hit publish on that website, I hit publish on that Facebook post. You're building confidence as you go. And again, even in an existing business, you take steps of sharing stuff that might be different than you normally share. Kind of just taking those baby steps has been helpful to us. So I guess kind of the takeaway from the branding part of being a small business, trying to feel like a big business with still, $0 spent besides my time on creating a brand. I guess creating a Squarespace website, but that didn't cost us very much. But this is something for, again, the startup businesses that I work with, the mom and pop shops. We talk more about a brand kit these days. Again, it's changed a lot where you used to have to slave over your logo a lot. If you're in something that has like packaging or something where you're going to be printing a run of a bunch of these and you really want to make sure you have a logo that's going to last a long time, or if you're going to be running a billboard that it's going to be big and in your face. But for me, I'm on a Facebook page and an Instagram account. My logo is like this big. So actually we do more. I work with a partner that does the branding kits for me, and she spends a lot more time actually coming up with the icons for people. What's the watermark that you can put on your images if you want to share them on Instagram? We get that request a lot. So if you make a really cool logo and you smash it down to nothing, can you still read it? Or maybe you just need to pull the M out of your business name and make an icon from that. So that's something that I think has changed a little bit too. You need not just a logo, you need an icon. That can be your favicon on your website, everything. There's a lot more needs for that smaller version now I've found with digital marketing. My marketing takes place on Facebook and Instagram, so it's more about the pictures that I'm putting out there, the backgrounds that my posts have, the backgrounds that my website has, kind of has this consistent look to it. And again, the icon, the logo is like really small at the top, and this big marble background that you've seen throughout this is kind of more a part of my branding. So I think that's just something that's interesting when you're thinking about starting a business is if you're hiring a graphic designer, don't just get a logo, make sure you get an icon, make sure you have some help on choosing a pattern or photography style, And what that looks like for me, again, I made most of my this PowerPoint in Canva, which is like a free software. Again, anybody can really do it. These fonts are not super crazy fonts. They're free. They're not unique at all. If you look around, this playlist script font is like everywhere. But for me, that was okay because I don't have to find a fancy font because I might change it down the road later. It's just about consistency for me. And same with my colors. These are some colors that I went on, Pinterest and found some different styles that I liked and then kind of went through and picked out what those colors looked like. And for me, it's not about the colors, it's those handy little numbers underneath, which you all know, just being consistent and using the exact same color every time. Some of my clients will deliver them this brand kit and teach them don't put this on, purple if purple's not one of your colors. And for me, it's nice to not have to have so many choices. I know when I went to make this PowerPoint today, my background's going to be pink or mint, and that's great. I don't have to stress about, should it be purple, should it be something else? So this is a super simple brand kit that we make for startup businesses just to get them out the door. Again, to not delaying starting your business because you're stuck on your visual branding, your branding identity. And again, for me, this is actually where more of my style comes from, is how do I mix photos and graphics together. Sorry, they're a little washed out, maybe over there. But when I first started, I started with stock photography because again, I'm like, my business is me in pajamas on my couch, not very glamorous. So you start with kind of projecting the business that you want to be. So I went through and found some stock photos that kind of had a style that I liked to them. That's the first iteration of my website looked like. It had some stock photos on there, good enough to hit publish and start going. Then the next step, paid my friend $50 to take some headshots of me. Actually got ready for the day, went out, and those headshots then got added to the website, got added to the things I could share on social media. And I looked a little more professional now that I had headshots. And again, that's something the clients that I work with, they don't have, which just blows my mind. I'm like, just pay $50 and have somebody take pictures for you. That's the best use of your funds. If you can't afford the fancy logo, I would opt for pictures and simplify the logo until you can save up for the cool one. And then even with your iPhone, can you figure out how to take some consistent photos yourself? This kind of starts to match the rest of things, even though I just took it myself, but kind of saying, I bought this pink piece of paper from Hobby Lobby, put it behind. I did kind of like a shop small, pictures over Christmas, and it worked better than opting to use a stock photo for Christmas to take one of my own so that it had some of those colors to it. So just kind of the progressions that went through thinking about branding. Same with patterns. Marble is kind of something that I use for backgrounds. That's a free thing that I just downloaded, but I make sure to use the same one. And these little washi tape things on the side, I made those in Illustrator in 2 seconds with my limited graphic design skills, but you'll see them throughout the PowerPoint. It's just something consistent and fun that you can add to your design so it looks memorable, it looks recognizable. And then I can make cool stuff like this with free software. Again, this is with Canva, which is a website that I use a lot to make. I do have Illustrator, there's a time and a place for that, but when I'm just making a quick graphic to put up on Instagram, this is often what I use. So again, the things that you see in there are the colors, the fonts, the stock photography, the little tape, and my icon. But you can make a million combinations if you just sit down and write down your colors, save your logo and save your pictures to a folder. You can make these really quickly. And again, it makes me look really professional, even though it's still just me sitting in my couch in my pajamas. And the second aspect that I spent some time on putting together is a content plan. And this is something we work with clients on too, is how to plan ahead for what you're sharing on social media, not just think, oh man, it's Tuesday, haven't posted in a long time, so what am I going to take a picture of that's right in front of me? Kind of, putting some forethought into it, which probably you do as business communicators, but at a small level, when it's just me and I'm doing my books, not very well, thank you, Echo and Allie. I'm doing, sales for business, I'm doing networking. I don't have a lot of time to think about social media. And if I want to tell people, hey, I can help you with your social media, mine better be up to date. So some free tools that I used to kind of plan out my content calendar is Trello is a favorite one of mine. And it's a free software, and it kind of, to me, it looks like a giant whiteboard, but on the computer. It works just like my brain works if it were a whiteboard. I can write things down, I can erase them, I can move them around. So this is kind of, I coach my clients on how to do something similar to like this too, because again, your brand is more so these days, what are you posting on social media? Not just what does your logo look like, things like that. What is it you want to tell people? So kind of two ways to think about this are the who, what, when, where, why. Just think about that. So some examples, your clients, your customers, do you have a process where you're going through and asking for testimonials after you get done working with them? Can you feature a customer of the week, of the month? It's just the forethought in doing that my customers get stuck on. They say, oh yeah, I had an awesome experience with that client 2 years ago, and it's not on my website, it's not on social media. I wish I would have just made that part of my process to, after I'm done working with them, there's an automated email, or I personally reach out and ask for it. So that's something you can put into your content calendar to share whenever you choose, right after that project is completed, or later down the road, you have that information. Same with products or services. Sometimes it blows my mind. I'll work with a client and they'll talk about their product once every 3 months, if they have a variety of products, but they're not sharing consistently all of their top sellers or something. They might just be talking about the spring items right now, but maybe they have this top selling product and they haven't talked about it in 6 months because everybody that comes into the store just knows that it's there, but the new customers may not know that it's there. Or a service. Maybe we offer free, we call them strat chats. They're 15-minute consultations. I need to remind people of that. To me, I'm like, well, I told them about it 2 months ago that we offer those, but maybe I have a follower that's come along since then. So just reminding myself. So I kind of just use this as, when you're in school, the half of the whiteboard that has the square around it that's like, don't erase this. It's like, remind yourself, have I talked about all my products and services regularly? Have I talked about my customers? Same with industry topics. I might have really strong opinions about the Facebook algorithm or something, and I might talk about it when the news breaks about that. But maybe I have other opinions about things that I can be up to date on and making sure I'm sharing those regularly too. And then events that I attend or host, like this is great because it is being recorded and I can share that. But a lot of times I'll work with customers like realtors or something, and they're involved in like 7 different things and they tell no one about it. Not to brag or anything, but just to say, hey, my heart is with CASA, like this is why I'm a part of it. A lot of people don't share some of that stuff. They just think, it's not that interesting that I went to another meeting, but you might be able to snap a picture of the agenda of the meeting. I don't know if that's very interesting, or you and your friend at the meeting, and it's okay to share that stuff. So that's something that even just the little things I think are what people want to see on social media. They don't want to just see the graphics that I had. Those are nice to mix in, but they want to see real life moments. So we coach a lot of our clients on grabbing your phone, taking pictures of things that you're at. Maybe you don't use it now, but later I'll say, it's Small Business Month. I'm so glad that I got to present at IABC. My heart is with small businesses too. And then you have that picture later. So that's some of the who, what, when, where, why. And then a different way to think about things is a little more obscure, but ethos, pathos, and logos are the 3 primary ways that you communicate with people. Through your ethics, through your credibility, which is about 40%. Again, I don't actually stick to this, but I try to say, as a small business owner, my business is about me and why people should trust me. So I really have to almost get uncomfortable with how much I'm willing to share about myself and what I do think about industry topics and what, because at the end of the day, I'm a one-on-one service-based business that I want people to work with me, so they need to know what I'm like. So some things that are important to me that I can make sure to share regularly are, being an entrepreneur, being honest about that, being like, hey, it's hard and I don't know how to do taxes. And it's so fun and I support other entrepreneurs. So that's some things I can talk about. Or again, supporting other small businesses. when November, December came around, I wanted to make sure to say, hey, I'm out shopping, supporting small businesses. I hope you do too. Just kind of that was important to me to share. And then like I have a 1.5-year-old. I connect with a lot of other working moms. So that's kind of a fun thing to share too. I call her the ma'am intern. She's a terrible intern. She doesn't get anything done, but she's cute at least. And then, pathos is the emotion that you want your customer, your client to feel. So again, it seems kind of like, this isn't like, sad puppy kind of work. Like, how can I make my customers have emotion? But again, my business is a lot of just making the business owner, the small business owner, feel confident that they're making good decisions with their marketing, that someone's helping them. It's how, again, I feel when someone does my books for me and keeps me out of jail. That's why I have Abby. And then respecting their time as a small business owner. Again, that my business is built on trying to respect people's time and money, so I should make sure to talk about that regularly, not just the line on my business card. And then the last part for me isn't a huge sell, and this is where a lot of people hang out. What's the logical reason that people should use your product or service? Because it's on sale, because it's awesome. You've followed those Facebook pages where they just only share that stuff. We're having a sale where our product is so cool, and it just feels a little too in your face. So sometimes, again, especially for a service-based business, you should work with me because the industry tells you to. Like, it's not really applicable to mine. So I kind of take the more soft sell approach of, again, just telling people about industry facts and trends and making them aware so that if they feel overwhelmed by those things, they can work with me. So this is the left hand of my social media calendar that I work on. And the right hand of the board, if you think of it, is just kind of wide open spaces. Again, that you can plan your content on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, just randomly, whatever you can get done. What I like is you can click and drag or make copies, things from that half of the board and put them on this half of the board into columns. Like, again, think of your whiteboard of things that need to get done, and they move through your process until you're all ready to go for the week or the month. So an example would be, again, that confidence as a small business marketer. I say that I want to talk about that. Now it's time to kind of pony up and put some words to it. So you can flip those cards over and you can write notes on the back. I actually just kind of leave them as topics, and then when I go to write the post, I just write it in there originally. You can do whichever you would prefer. So how that works is you finish whatever the task is. You can add, in Trello, you can add due dates. You can add people that you want to assign things to. So if I wanted to assign half of them to me and half of them to Allie, we would know what we're supposed to work on. You can add checklists that say, write the topic, have Allie review it. But again, when social media, you really don't need to overthink things too much. So it pretty much just works its way down. In the middle column, I can add a graphic. Again, this is, as a small business owner, this is something you can kind of work on as a process. Maybe you write the content, and then someone else creates the graphic for you. So if you just work on things that are in this column, and then once you move them over, you comment or you email it to somebody and say, hey, this is ready for a graphic, and this is what I want it to be about, and they can go put something together for you. So for me, I have a course called Graphics and Go where we teach people how to do some of this process. We teach them how to make graphics on the go from their phone. So that's something I could talk about and kind of put the spin on, hey, you can feel confident making graphics that look awesome online. You should take our course or something. So that's kind of something you could tie into that topic. And then once it's hit this column, it's ready for posting. So I should have, if I'm working on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, you should have a few lined up to get ready to schedule those, because I like to work to batch process things, which I think is the next slide. So for me as a small business owner, this is the most efficient way to get things done. Even as a large business owner, if you save all your accounting till the end of the month and you process through it, sometimes it's easier than here or there any time of the day. Same with marketing. No matter what you're doing, batch processing to me is the saving grace for small business owners to say, on Mondays when the store is closed, I go around and I take pictures of our products. I pull them off the shelf, I add some cool elements to them, and I take a picture. So that way, instead of I'm out of time and the store is open and the only time I have to take a picture is in between clients running in, so all I can do is take a picture of it on the shelf, on the rack, which is fine, but maybe if I had more time, they would look better. But if you can just do 20 images on Mondays, you're good for the rest of the month or the week or however often you schedule things. So that goes for photography, but as well as just kind of your content. So again, you can use Trello, or Airtable is another free software that I like as well. And they're just websites that you can go to. They have apps, so you can brainstorm on the go as well. Do that on a weekly or monthly basis, and then go through and gather that content. Again, this is something where if you have a folder full of images, you're a head start. And maybe they're older too, that's fine. If you have lots of pictures of your business, you're in a better place than if you were like me this summer where I had very little. So I made a lot more graphics. I kind of chickened out with the hello post. I probably should have put my picture on it, but maybe I didn't have my headshots then, I don't know. So it's okay to make graphics. If you're having a sale and you just want to put something out there, Canva, again, is my favorite source for making easy graphics. They have templates and that kind of stuff. But don't get too distracted by the templates, I will say too. Stick to your colors, stick to your fonts. We have clients that are like, this template has all the colors. I'm going to use that one. It's like, then why did you pay a graphic designer to tell you to use other ones? And then my favorite app or website for scheduling posts is Later. I don't know if you've heard of that one. Or there's Buffer, Hootsuite. You can write them, originally in Facebook, but if you're batch processing things, scheduling can be a lifesaver. And I like Later because you can kind of customize what you want it to see on Instagram versus Facebook. You can crop things differently. There's some auto scheduling. There's a lot of things I like about that app that I would recommend. One of the first posts that they asked you to share was, what does your name mean? And I'm like, oh gosh, my least favorite question, but here we go. So I give a description of what my name stands for, and I just make this little graphic in Canva. 870 people like that. That's great. People want to know, oh, I've always wondered what your name stood for. Tell me that. Same with, they asked, tell your story. That was just the topic. And I chose to do video because, again, it was basically what I just told you. I worked at an ad agency. I fell in love with small businesses, and I decided to take a risk. Do you want to watch me try? And 1,100 people liked that post because they want to see you be real. They want to see you be awkward and uncomfortable on camera, because they want to just see you be human, like I'm being right now. Then the next one, again, I did kind of a shop small thing, which kind of told me about myself. Because this challenge took place in November, I was kind of like, what can I share? I'm not sure what the topic was. I think it was tell people what you're doing today. And I'm like, I'm going shopping locally. You should go shopping locally. And I went and took some pictures of the little American Express buttons that I had. I think I shared some pictures of my, the things I got when I was going there. But that kind of told me that, man, supporting local is part of my brand identity, part of my brand DNA. So now I know that that's something I want to try to keep in the back of my mind. If I go somewhere and I see something cool, I want to try to share that because that fits with my brand, because that's the kind of customers I want to work with. And then the next one, and again, 22 people engaged with that. That was really good for me 2 months into my business. And then the next one was a challenge for myself. I said, I love small business owners. I was kind of curious how Etsy shops worked, how people were starting those, succeeding with those. So my friend Lauren had been crushing it on Etsy, doing really well. She made these custom banners, custom onesies. And so I said, would you want to do a Facebook Live with me? Again, video does really well. Let's just see if we can do it, And we had 415 people watch. We didn't know what we were doing, but that was a good challenge for me to say, can I interview someone? Can I get them to share their story? Just kind of some things that we've done a few since, and they've gone over really well. We've also talked about turning them into blog posts instead of video, but I think kind of when you're working on your strategy, you just have to try things. Maybe you're better at talking on video than writing, but you don't know until you try. And you might see a blog post doesn't do well, nobody reads it, but people watch your videos. So I think you just have to try things. Her 1.5-year-old was running around in the background, it was nothing super professional, but it was authentic, it was real. It was me in my office talking to a customer, or she wasn't a customer. And this is kind of the grand finale. We're at December 4th, the challenge has ended in the chamber challenge, and I won, yay! I got a plywood trophy. It was, some donuts, etc. Because they thought, company would win. I'm like, I'm gonna eat all these donuts by myself. So, I win this, but 1,100 people see this post. I'm a nobody in Kearney again. I'm a new chamber member. I thought it was going to take me forever to get my name out there, but like I'm in the newsletter, I'm in stuff, like people know that I exist now. And then kind of skipping to the right, part of the prize package too actually was a Facebook Live from the chamber that has 2,000 likes instead of my 200. And then it came with an email promotion that you could send out to all the members. So I kind of thought strategically about that too. I'm like, okay, I'm on a cheap shoestring budget, but I have these 2 cool marketing pieces. What am I going to do with them? So I'm like, I could send an email that says, hi, I'm Amanda. I want to work with you. Do you want to work with me? And like, probably no one's going to like hit reply and book a service. Like I need to get out there and actually meet people. Again, I've only been in town a couple months, so I kind of wanted to do like an open house kind of thing, but I can't invite people to my house because that'd be weird, and I can't invite them to the chamber because it'd be kind of just, it's like a boring like office building thing, so I didn't think that would go over very well. So on the right there, my friend had like this really cool event space, under construction vibe. So we did an event there. I called it a pop-up party, and it was awesome. I offered people those 15-minute strat chats for free. Did 10 of them, which is like 2 hours worth of sitting and talking to people. We followed up with them. People met Allie. And the best part of the whole thing is we got awesome pictures. Like I tell people, I'm like, do an event just for the pictures sometimes. Because then we went and redid the whole website with pictures of me talking to real people. Before it was just headshots, just me sitting with my laptop, just like praying I had a customer. Now it's me talking to a prospective customer, but now I have pictures of that. And we did some like little activity, like put some words on the wall. People kind of got a sense of what our brand was just through that event. So that was really fun. And again, like really good engagement there. A lot of people came. And then my best post I've ever had is when I hired Allie. 1,400 people, 37 likes, 3 shares. Like people want to see you succeed. They want to see you grow your business. Even if that seems little, this was a pretty big deal, but share your successes, share your victories, and people, they want to see that. And so some things that I'm up to lately, just to kind of give you some more ideas of things that you can share on social media, is the Kearney Chamber asked me to do an Instagram takeover, which meant I had to do 30 more days of sharing stuff. Like they're killing me. I had to share 30 more days of stuff on their Instagram account because they only had like 300 followers and they wanted to beef it up. So they're letting one member every month kind of share what their business looks like through their eyes, kind of shout out to their favorite members, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm almost done with that. So if you want to check it out, follow the Kearney Chamber just to see what I'm up to. But again, people are like, do you want to see me do this thing? Yes, I do want to see you do this thing. So people engaged with that. And then the thing we did just February 12th is I did a giveaway of one of my services. So kind of in the background of doing just marketing for my business, I've been trying to put together packages and kind of streamline some of those processes. So put a package together that I wanted to sell, and rather than try to sell it right away, I decided to give it away for free. And so I did this, tell me who's a cool business owner that you know. We did it on Galentine's Day, which is the day before Valentine's Day, and I said, tell me an awesome female business owner that like just needs a little bit of help. And we had like 6 or 7 entries, like not a whole lot of entries, but that was okay because then it was doable for me to pick just one of them. But what I liked is I got 13 shares, people that said, hey, so-and-so is doing this giveaway, you should participate, she's awesome, you should work with her. And that was kind of cool for me because I'm like, do people even know that I'm out there? Do they know what I do yet? And to me that kind of showed that they do know what I'm up to and they do know kind of that ethics, that ethos part of it. They say, hey, you should work with her, she's doing great. And again, I'm like, it's still just me on my couch in my pajamas, like 5 out of 7 days in the week. But I think that's like kind of the closing of, you can look big online even when you're really small. Just be really authentic. I think I have these in the next slide here, jumping ahead. Be really authentic and tell people what you're up to. They want to see you succeed. Again, when I first started, I kind of shared like inspirational quotes and random articles, and they didn't do very well, because they weren't anything just about me. They were just kind of like, hey, this is out there. But again, if you can add some really good insight to the article or some really good insight to the quote, that's great. But the most beneficial thing that I've seen so far is not sharing a yellow graphic that says hello, but actually being brave enough to put my face on it, put myself on video, etc., and just tell people what I'm up to in my business. So I guess some takeaways that hopefully my story can help you with your business is that there really is no secret formula. Like, I kind of love that you asked what time, because when people hear that I do marketing, they say, when should I post? What's the latest and greatest thing? And I'm like, again, if you have all your ducks in a row, we can talk about those things, but probably you don't if you're a small business. So there's no secret formula, just whatever is working for you, invest more into that. Again, I have lots of opinions on different things that might work for you, but until I get to know you better, I can't outguess you. So there really is no secret formula except just sharing your passion. Use a brand kit, use a content plan. Like, those are the two probably the most logical takeaways or concrete takeaways. And then take pictures. Again, can't stress enough. You might use them, you might not, but it doesn't hurt you to take more pictures than you ever thought you need. Again, if you're a retail business and people are coming into your store and you can take pictures of that or them or ask them, or if you're a service-based business, be creative. Again, I work mostly on the computer with my clients, so there's really not like any great pictures of that, but when I'm out and about and I'm speaking at something or I'm involved in something, taking a second to take a picture is really beneficial. Probably not going to share the picture of me with Daniel Tiger, but maybe, I don't know.
Well, that'd be different kind of story.
Maybe like, my 2-year-old's super pumped because I met Daniel Tiger, the cardboard character. So, and then share your challenges and victories. This is something that you have to follow your own personal preference on this, but again, it's really easy to share your victories. Hey, I hired someone. Hey, we landed a client. But also, whatever you're comfortable with, sharing your challenges is good too, I think. Like, I rescheduled that lady that got sick for Facebook Live. I rescheduled her like 3 times, and I started to feel like, I don't think my audience is going to trust me anymore, that I said, it's going to be today, it's going to be like, it might not happen. But I think I let people know, again, that's just kind of one example, but it's hard to get 2 people that have kids on camera during cold and flu season. Like, it just doesn't happen. So being real about that, again, and I think like for a big business too, if you have like something dramatic like layoffs or something, like getting ahead of that, as PR professionals, something on social media I think is always appropriate too, of whatever your comfort level, professional level of like letting people know that stuff is difficult will benefit you in the long run, that people know you're being transparent. And then being confident and being flexible is probably like the main thing that I've learned is, again, being confident to get on camera, even though I feel awkward about it at first. Just saying, I think this is going to work, and going for it is kind of what you need to be an entrepreneur. But being flexible too, and saying, you know what, I'm not going to get this blog post out on time, and that's okay. Just rolling with things. I think as a small business owner trying to act big online it's that balance of being confident of what you're doing, but being able to adapt too. Again, when Facebook throws a fit at you, be ready to try something else. If something dries up and disappears, be flexible. If your team member quits and you have to do it by yourself, be flexible.